Hi, and welcome to the Ziggy Zone. I'm your host, Ziggy. Now that the divisional rounds have been concluded for the 2014 NFL season, the stage has been set for the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship. Before we discuss each championship round, we're going to talk about some of these divisional games. Starting the weekend on Saturday, we had the New England Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens. This game is a game that we've seen in many years before, where you have coming out of the AFC Baltimore and New England. And so instead of it being a conference game, a conference finals game, these two, they battled it out in a divisional round. It remained close most of the game. And Joe Flacco and his crew actually had a chance to steal the game late in the fourth quarter. Unfortunately, as he did a Hail Mary to the end zone, no one was able to catch it. And so New England went away with the win. Baltimore did lead a lot of this game, but we all know that Tom Brady is a magician, and he came back as we thought we would in a 35-31 win over the Baltimore Ravens. Good job to those guys down in Baltimore. Harbaugh. John, he knows how to coach his guys. That they were a team that did not make their playoff berth until the week 17. And so you see a team that's well coached, that has a lot of motivation. Unfortunately, this year was not their year. However, that does not mean that we will not see them come next year. Playing on Sunday for the AFC was the Denver Broncos and the Indianapolis Colts. You talk about a very interesting duel. You have Peyton Manning, who was a longtime quarterback for Indianapolis, who was then followed in by Andrew Luck, and now you have Peyton Manning over in Denver. This was a game that I think many thought Denver would win. And, you have a veteran, someone who's been in the years as many years as Peyton, who as well respected as Peyton. But Andrew, he came out of Stanford under Jim Harbaugh, is really making a name for himself. And so it was almost a runaway for the Indianapolis Colts. You talk about a 24-13 win. I expected more from Denver. I thought it would actually be a closer game. Unfortunately, that didn't happen for Denver. I think we're seeing the decline of Peyton Manning, and his best years are behind him. You talk about someone who is in their late 30s. And so what he's going to do, how many more years he have left, those are real questions now, being that he's older. He can't take those hits, these cold weather games. I mean, whether they were in Indianapolis or Denver, it's cold. Granted, I'm from California, and anything below 60 should be illegal. But you have Andrew Luck here. He's making a name for himself, and he's saying, you know what? I can go against the great veterans and pull out a win. And that's exactly what Indianapolis did without Trent Richardson, which I believe is their running back. They did a great job as a team. They pulled it together on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And so Indianapolis is actually a team that we need to watch for. They are slated to play the New England Patriots next weekend in the the AFC Championship. And so while we know that Tom Brady is a magician, and they haven't been to a Super Bowl in a few years, and so it might be their time. Andrew Luck and the Colts, they're balling and they're coming for blood. So now we move over to the NFC in this weekend's action of the NFC. On Saturday, the Carolina Panthers took on the Seahawks out of Seattle. And Cam had the NFC South, which is the division that the Panthers came from, was by far the worst in the league. I believe Carolina had 6 or 7 wins, maybe. And once again, they weren't decided as the winner until week 17. Cam had his car accident, I believe, in week 15, and by the grace of God, he did not sustain more severe injuries. If you would have seen the car, his truck that he was driving, it's truly God. It was truly God's hand upon his life, and for those around as well. With that said, Carolina had no chance at winning. Seattle is good. Seattle is good. I mean, you have to give credit where credit is due. Pete Carroll, he is coaching one heck of a team. To totally be objective about the whole football situation. We all know that I am a Niner faithful, born and raised that way. But you have to give credit to Seattle. They're a well-coached team. They're a really disciplined team. And it was no way that Carolina was going to beat the Seahawks. It just wasn't going to happen. If you ask me, the reason why they beat Arizona was because Arizona is working with like their fourth or fifth string quarterback. I'm being facetious there. It was like their third, which doesn't make it better. But it's the truth. You're talking about, you're not working with your starting quarterback or your backup quarterback. You're talking about the backup's backup. I believe it was the backup's backup. If it was the backup's backup, so Cam obviously in that offense is definitely, no disrespect to Arizona's defense because their defense is great. And no disrespect to their total offense because, when you have someone like Larry Fitzgerald there, you have to respect them. It's just, if your quarterback is, in the words of Richard Sherman, mediocre, sub-mediocre, you really can't win because you have to put points on the board. So really, Carolina, they won by default. I think they needed it. I think it was great for Cam Newton just to have that. I think that the end of his season was really bad. I really hope that he gets rehab to really check out what's going on with his back. I believe he had a couple broken bones back there. And, you have to applaud a man who says, you know what, I'm still going to play. His health is definitely more important than football. But nevertheless, they had a good season in Carolina. They should feel proud of themselves that they won a wild card game. Those guys have a considerable amount of work to do, but the entire NFC South has a lot of work to do. When you talk about the Panthers and the Saints and the Falcons all being really bad, I would add the Buccaneers to that, but the Buccaneers, they're not really good. Yeah. But you talk about the Saints and the Falcons and the Panthers. All of these teams have been in the playoffs, in the postseason. At least one of these teams have been in the postseason, of the last 4 seasons. So, you talk about that. And so you really want that division to do better because they struggled. And then moving on to today's NFC game, which was really a nail-biter. I mean, you talk about a game that was highly anticipated. This game was probably the most anticipated of the weekend for me here. And that was the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers is not healthy. He has a torn something in his leg. I'm not 100% sure what the injury is, but it's a leg injury. And so you talk about what is his mobility like? How much can he really push himself? Can he, run? Can he escape trouble? And then you have the Dallas Cowboys who exceeded everyone's expectations. I mean, I think they will never admit it, but even those Cowboy fans, I think that their expectations were exceeded as well. I think they wanted them to do well, but I don't think they didn't really believe it until week after week. Oh, they're really winning. Oh, they're really winning. So you talk about the Cowboys, a team that really, was the underdogs, and no one really thought much of or really had that much hope in, to really make it this far to a divisional game is, I think, super admirable. And I think those guys have nothing to be proud of. I mean, nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, losing to Aaron Rodgers is nothing to be ashamed of. Losing to, I don't want to say a better Green Bay team, because Green Bay is definitely suspect. But I will say that Green Bay's offense is better balanced. The big names for Dallas is Witten, DeMarco Murray, and Des Bryant. But I feel that Green Bay, when you have Randall Cobb, when you have Eddie Lacy, when you have Jordy Nelson, oh my gosh, I had him on my fantasy team one year. Points. Anyway, so when you have, I believe, a better balanced offense, or a more balanced offense such as Green Bay, it was close and it was to be expected. But no one's really surprised that the Cowboys lost. They should be proud of themselves. But Green Bay, they earned their win. They had a season of up and down, and Aaron Rodgers being injured. But yet you talk about a team who can pull it together. So congratulations to the Green Bay Packers, which sets the table for the NFC Championship to play the Seattle Seahawks. Interesting. Now, going back, so we know what the divisional rounds were. To recap, for the AFC, we had the Patriots over the Ravens. We had the Colts over the Broncos. That was the AFC. In the NFC, we had the Seahawks over the Panthers and the Packers over the Cowboys. Each team won will represent or will play for their divisional championship. So next weekend sets the stage for the Super Bowl, which will take place in 3 weeks, because they'll play next week. And then the week after that will be Pro Bowl, which I believe Pro Bowl was in like Arizona or whatever. I don't even think it's in Hawaii. The Pro Bowl needs a lot of, Pro Bowl is basically all-star game. But it happens after the playoffs, and teams who are going to the Super Bowl do not play for obvious reasons. But the Pro Bowl, this is like a total digression, but the Pro Bowl needs to reevaluate how they're going to operate, because this whole Team A versus Team B thing isn't cute. Last year's Team Jerry versus Team Dion. I personally don't like that. They need to keep it the traditional AFC versus NFC, just how you'll have the East versus the West. So don't really know what's going on down there for these whole Pro Bowl games, but they sort of need to figure that part out. So going back a little bit, we're going to talk about these NFC championship games, or these NFC and AFC championship games. So for the AFC, the Colts will take on the Patriots. I would normally say Tom Brady has this one in the bag. But as I said before, Andrew Luck, he's making his name out there. He is someone in that offense. They're saying, you know what? We're a serious contender. We're a real team. We want you to respect us. And I think that a team that is saying, you need to respect us, and they're going after that respect, they're a team to be watched. Tom Brady, he's a Bay Area boy, Bay Area girl. I'm not a big New England fan. They've won a ton of times. They could afford to lose. But I believe and I know that Tom Brady is a magician. So will the team with the magician win, or will it be the team that's, fighting for respect? This game, the Colts and the Patriots, will be the game. Both championship games will actually be the game. If I had to put money down, and I'm not, because betting is illegal. If I had to put money down, I would give it to Indianapolis and the Colts. I think that they, it's like they're fighting for like respect. And so I think that it's more there. The Patriots, they know how to win. They've done it before. They know how to win. But sometimes you have to have that fire in the belly that I think Indianapolis has. Now, going over to the NFC with the Seahawks and the Packers. I mean, listen, how about those Niners, right? Like, seriously, how about those Niners? How about them? The girl in me says, Seattle's uniforms are so pretty. Green is my favorite color. I'm a girl. I look at those things because I like pretty things. In New York, and Seattle has the prettiest, well, one of the prettiest uniforms. I think Jacksonville has prettier uniforms, but that's not the point. Green Bay. I do not know. I want Green Bay to win. Only because I can't see Seattle in another Super Bowl. It can't happen. I'm sorry. Call me a hater. Call me whatever you want. I can't. I'm not here for that. I don't want to be here for that at all. Go Marshawn Lynch. He's from Oakland. Went to Cal. He took a class with a friend of mine over at Cal. I don't care. I do not care. I cannot. I would almost rather see the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl than Seattle, right? That's how serious it is. But their defense will, like, slap you in the face and, like, talk about your mama. Like, their defense is so disrespectful. Like, they're nasty. They're mean. Love it. It's football. Love it. I mean, you just have to love and respect their football team. Like, they're disrespectful. They're nasty. They'll call your mama names and they don't care. Great. Love it. That's a problem. Mainly for Green Bay's offense. Aaron has a messed up leg. I don't know if he'll be able to win against a team like Seattle with one leg. I mean, how do you do it? How would you do it? Break? How about those Niners, right? I mean, it's like, what do you do? I mean, you have to respect Seattle. You have to respect their offense. You have to respect their defense. There's no way around it. And while and Aaron Rodgers, he's a Bay Area boy too, and I think he went to Cal as well. You sort of want, yeah, if Aaron Rodgers were healthy, I would say that this would be a really tight game, and I would say that there's a battle to be had here. And there is still one. However, the edge is to Seattle just because, I mean, their defense is so disrespectful. Their defense is what football is about. If you had to sum up football in 2 words, it would be Seattle's defense. And with Aaron's health in question, and Pete Carroll, we all know that Pete Carroll is a interesting fella. I wouldn't be surprised if they're setting up their defense to exploit Aaron's injury right now. So I'm really concerned about that. I would love Green Bay to go back to the Super Bowl, only because they haven't been in a couple years. And I just don't want to see Seattle there. Like, I just don't. Sorry. Can't do it. Don't want to do it. Not happening. The rational part of me is saying that the edge is towards Seattle, And so what I'm thinking is possibly a Seahawks-Colts Super Bowl. I mean, I could see that. I could see that. That would be interesting. I could also see a Seattle Patriots Super Bowl. Now, if we see a Seattle Patriots Super Bowl, and we'll talk about that obviously after next weekend, then I'd be like, whoa, this is a really good one to watch. So, here's our respective championship selections and for the week, and that is Indianapolis over New England and Seattle over Green Bay. I'm totally open to being wrong here, because guess what? The Niners ain't playing anyway. So Who's got it better than us? Apparently there's no coach, so nobody, literally. With that said, my darlings, we'll see you next week. Have a good one.